Welcome to Dr. Dispatch Tutorials. In this video we're going to go over the invoicing process for both trucking and brokerage. At this point, by this point, you should already have a good feel for entering loads. The loads are the invoices automatically. There's nothing to do, no additional data to enter to get an invoice from Dr. Dispatch. If the load's in, you'll have an invoice. The rules are brokerage. Any load will show up to be invoiced if it has a carrier and rates, gross pay, carrier pay. Now this one doesn't. It's going to show on the load board as a red load available. Double click it. As soon as I put a carrier on, it's going to go to assigned automatically. Warning if its insurance being expired. Now we've got an assigned load. That'll show up in invoicing. Look right now. Load 10,000 right there. Easy as that. Now, while we're on the subject of statuses, it's a good idea to keep up with the statuses here. You'll need to manually tell the system when the truck been dispatched to go get the load, and a check call will get entered automatically in the tracking. And right here it says dispatched entered by system today's date. It's timestamp right down to the second. You can add all the check calls you want, of course, but dispatch gives you an automatic check call. At some point the truck will become empty, and you will tell it it's empty. It'll also enter an automatic check call for an empty load in case you forget. But that's all there is to walk a load through its full life cycle. Available as a new load, assigned when you put a truck on it. Dispatch is done by the user as well as empty. Load's done and off the load board. But once again, in order to invoice, all it needs is a truck. So any of these that have rates and carriers can be invoiced. Trucking, roughly the same rules. You need a truck on this load 230, for example. Just looking at the load board, put a truck on it. In this case, you will be asked to set the deadhead location on the load, which is always a good idea. Should always know the prior empty location of the truck for you. If not, you can adjust. But and then it's going to warn us of DOT inspections. But now we got a deadhead from Dallas to Jackson, Mississippi on to Newark, and get a trailer on there as well. Complete this and a driver. And now we've got an assigned load, and that one can be billed as well, as long as it's got a rate greater than 0. Once again, statuses, same as brokerage. Take it to dispatch manually. But I'm going to get some miles on this load. If this is a mileage driver, it won't calculate them. Just putting in some miles here. When I tell it to empty on the trucking side, since driver payroll is engaged, per the label down here, and I empty it, the load's going to get emptied, and I'm going to go to load filter all load. Because it went empty, it disappeared from the list. And there's the load we emptied. And look at driver pay, and here's a payroll record that was figured on a percentage for this guy, 55% on $1,200, base rate only, no accessorial charges. It makes a payroll record automatically. The system's easy, makes you money. Takes half the manpower you had before to produce the same dollars in revenue. Invoicing comes from the loads that the dispatchers enter. Nothing to do over there. That becomes a few minutes a day for invoicing rather than hours. And payroll's done, everything. Now, the load's been emptied. There again, not a requirement. As long as the load has a truck and is assigned, it's going to show up. At this point, let's go over to truck invoicing. And we got any load, there again, has a truck on it, has a rate. It's not been billed before, it can be billed now. I got bills in hand. I'm going to do 211 and 214. I can sort and group and search these any way I need to find these loads for these bills. Very easy. Even a sort by unit. Show me all the paperwork out on truck 500. Any unit in the list, it'll pop it up there. Drag that back down. At this point, I have my check marks. Put them in, remove them. It takes nothing more than minutes a day to do your billing. Tell it how many copies. And in this case, I'm going to ask for a print preview so we can see this together, and simply hit the process button. Here's the invoice, return address, bill to address. We didn't set the customer entry screen. Today's date. You can have comments, all the billing information, rate breakdown in the middle. Picks and drops at the end. We always show this. It's a little unusual for some people to see this, but pick up numbers and bill latings, if they're put into the stops, This all goes to the customer and helps get you paid faster. We'll close that as if we printed it. Second one pops up. Could also email these, by the way. Be in a later video how to set this up. Process would have been here without the preview. Would have been to hit the button after the check marks were put in. Instant print. The QuickBooks screen pops up next. These are the loads that have been invoiced but not sent to QuickBooks yet. I can close this and reopen this. All I want, those are going to stay right there till I send them to QuickBooks. Now, QuickBooks I have open and attached to a sample company, and we're going to go ahead and these on over. These will turn green when they're done like that. We'll get a printout or a paper trail of the loads to QuickBooks from Dr. Dispatch. File that if you wish. Tell Dr. Dispatch it did print the report successfully, and those loads are gone. In all, that took less than, without me yakking, 45 seconds probably to do that entire process. Not minutes or hours. Now, we'll go to sample company, go to customers. McDowell's. Now, this sample company had a bunch of customers in it. We put everything in cap letters. So if I go here, there's all the info that got put in automatically by Dr. Dispatch. Here's one of the invoices that we sent over. And it's really nice. It just highlight them. It shows everything they owe and payments you've received, or you can filter for anything. Double click that invoice, and here's what was put into QuickBooks. Now this is needed to use the receivables and the functions in QuickBooks to collect your payment when it comes in from the customer, and everything you do with financial transactions will now be done with QuickBooks, and all put over here instantaneous with no work at all from the user. We also put over a second customer here, I believe, Walmart. There again, second invoice, double click it. Rate breakdown, stops are put in, POs, cases, and wait if you put this info in Dr. Dispatch. You can even print these invoices from here if you want to, and you could tell Dr. Dispatch, don't print a paper copy. It would simply process into the batch, export to QuickBooks, and you could print from here if you wanted to. Brokerage is really the same thing with a simple twist to it. We'll take a couple of loads here. We'll take 1026 and this one here. Once again, we're going to do a print preview just so we can see them. So we do a print on the first one, roughly the same invoice, and we print the second one. Difference in here is we have two records to go to QuickBooks per load. An AR to collect your money from the customer, and an AP record to pay your carrier. Two for each. Only difference. Simple but very powerful. I'm going to hit the button and export this over. There again, they went green. We'll do the preview on the report. And in this case, you have your AR record and your AP record both going over. And we'll say, yes, it printed. Clear the batch. There again. 30 seconds to do your daily invoicing. Can't beat that. QuickBooks. Now I've got this blended with the brokerage and trucking into one account. Probably not recommended, but people do it and it will work. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to vendors. We've already seen the customer entry. On the vendors, the carriers, we got load my truck. There again, he's all put in. Print on check as, load my truck, could have been a factoring company just as easily. Additional info, we bring over the federal ID if you've got it in, so on and so forth. And then we have a bill. Now there again, we've got to set our date range because this is a sample company. And there's the bill that went in for Pro 5000 to pay load my truck, and you can print your check from that. I tell you, nothing's easier, saves you a ton of money and a ton of labor. Makes it where several people can do the work of a half dozen. Now you'll have reports for accounts receivable, accounts payable to pay your trucks, profits and loss. All this stuff can now be done with automatically just doing your invoicing. Pressing a button, brings it over to QuickBooks. It's all in here. And Dr. Dispatch retains your load and histories, of course, and you do have an AR here that where we do keep track of it. I really suggest you use QuickBooks. They are the financial masters. We do the transportation. They're way better at the finances than we are. But this is down and dirty and does work, and a lot of people use it. Okay, that's pretty much invoicing in a nutshell. We'll have a further video down the road that has more advanced things. I do want to show you one other thing. On either system, if you need to reverse an invoice, brokerage in this case, just open the invoicing screen, go to Utilities, go to Reversal, type in the number, enter, and right there it comes back with the check mark. Now, do beware. If you've sent it to QuickBooks, it does not remove it from QuickBooks. You would need to remove it, delete it from QuickBooks, meaning the invoice, to re-import it in. But most people, when they make a mistake and process a wrong one, they realize that before they make the dump. So reversals are easy, utilities, reversal, and you also have some reports and things you can do here as well. Once again, thanks for watching. See you in the